Hi there, I'm Bonnie McCaffrey and I'm on vacation at the New Jersey shore, and just because I'm on vacation does not mean that I would let you down. I still have some great things for you to see this month. While I was over in England, I taped two different segments. The first one that we're going to see is an interview with Linda Kempshell, and she runs a City and Guilds program where she trains people and helps them study some pretty intense study into quilting and design. So we'll get to have an interview with Linda Kempshell, and we'll hear what this City and Guilds program is all about. So come, take a look. Hi, I am here with Linda Kempshell, and Linda Kempshell and her daughter Laura run a City and Guilds program. And Linda, thank you so much for doing this with me.
My pleasure.
Can you tell us a little bit about what the City and Guilds is all about?
It's an award that's been established for a long time here in the UK, since the early last century. And you can gain qualifications in a number of subjects. My area of interest is textiles and design. And we offer patchwork and quilting, design classes, creative sketchbooks, and more recently creative computing.
Oh, so I didn't know about that.
Using the computer as a design tool towards whatever craft you're interested in. Most of our students are textile students, but not necessarily so.
So how long does the program take?
There are various levels. We have introductory levels, which are quite short taster sessions. The kind of entry-level course that we have takes approximately a year.
Okay.
Some people opt to take 2 years over it.
Yes.
Either because they're enjoying it and they like to prolong it, or because their family commitments are such that they don't have time to do otherwise. The more advanced classes take longer, so we're looking at a minimum of 2 years probably. But what we do, when we have a design idea, we start collecting all sorts of visual information. We may be taking photographs, we might have real objects, and we start to compose the pages. These may not translate absolutely literally into a quilt. You wouldn't see and recognize that page as a quilt. But all the time that you're creating these pages and putting color down, you're actually in your mind getting closer to an idea of how that finished piece would be.
So have these pages become a quilt?
This is some of Laura's work here, and there's a whole series of work that it does kind of relate to this theme of pairs. I mean, what's really interesting in the textile world today is that anything you create on the pages of a sketchbook, you can then translate to cloth.
True.
Because we're often using acrylic in here, and acrylic will work on cloth. We might be using concentrated dyes and inks on the pages, and there's the equivalent product to use on cloth. Poppies has been an important theme to a lot of her quilts over recent years. We both strongly believe that inspiration can come from the simplest thing. You don't have to have anything really foreign or exotic. You can just look in your fruit bowl, out of your kitchen window, in the garden, as it turns out.
Incredible.
So we've got a lot of poppies. We grow a lot of flowers.
Linda, thank you so much for doing this with me, and I think our viewers will be thrilled to see and hear about the City and Guilds program. Thanks.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Wow, that City and Guilds program is fantastic, and if you're interested in taking a course, you can do that over the internet with Linda Kempshell and her daughter Laura Kempshell. Now let's take a look at Maggie Davis. She has done a gorgeous quilt here. What I'd like to do is for you to take a look and see how this quilt evolved, and then Maggie was kind enough to show us some of the techniques that were involved in making of this quilt. So let's go visit Maggie Davis in England. And I'm here with Maggie Davis, who is going to show us how she has created this quilt and some of the things that were involved in the inspiration of this quilt. Thank you so much for inviting me into your home and giving us a sneak peek at how this quilt evolved. How did it evolve?
I had to do my dissertation This was at Windsor, correct, where I was at college for 6 years doing my City and Guilds embroidery.
And who did you take the class with?
Jan Beanie and Jean Littlejohn.
Oh, you're so
two
lucky.
fantastic tutors.
Wow.
So I was fortunate enough to actually go to the States and work through the cotton process from start to finish. I went to a cotton farm in North Carolina to see the cotton growing and how when it's actually reached maturity, you see the dried cotton ball heads. And finally I went to a cotton mill so I could see it being spun and woven into the final yardage, which was really interesting.
So how did this start to become this quilt?
I started sketching the leaves, the lobe, it's a 3-lobed leaf, and I also started sketching the dried cotton bolls. And I felt that this would be interesting to use the dried form of the cotton head and place this into a design using an Art Nouveau style. The colour inspiration came from a postcard that I happened across, and it's from the Book of Burrow, and it has the beautiful golden colours which say to me harvest time. So harvest being representational to the harvest of the cotton heads, and black, and I've always found these two colour combinations striking.
Beautiful.
It was during my City and Guilds Part 2 embroidery, we had to do a research project, and because I've always loved Art Nouveau, my husband took me to Brussels so I could research Victor Horta.
So then this started to evolve into sketches.
This started to evolve in my little thumbnail sketches, and then taking it further into a full-size design.
So you have your design, then you started to think about the fabrics that you were going to use.
And this was the colorway that I wanted to use.
How do you do this?
I'm using transfer dyes. Transfer dyes, we're going to paint the color onto plain pane of glass. So I will place this sheet over the top, and I will just gently press the paper down onto the glass.
So the color's then going to be
transferred onto the paper. And when you're working on the glass, you get a rippling effect. So once I peel it back, this is what you have, and with the water you create breaks in the colour. Whereas if you paint it straight onto the paper itself, that's what you would get. You have no rippling effect, no break in the colour.
So you can do glass transfer, or you could paint right onto the paper.
You will need to let this dry. You cannot place this wet sheet straight onto the synthetic. You're going to place it so you have the synthetic velvet side up, and with the paper I've done earlier, it's dry now, so I'm going to place it colour side down, and then you will use a dry iron, medium heat setting. Ooh, look at that. Oh. What we do next is we transfer the design onto dressmaking paper. We then layer the black felt, the coloured synthetic velvet, the dressmaking paper on the top, and then you baste all the layers together well. I took it to the machine and I outlined the design with top stitching through all layers. Then when you've finished, you peel the tracing paper away so that all you're left with are your 2 layers, and you can see the top design here. And after that, I decided where I wanted to cut away the coloured fabric to show the black felting underneath. How I cut it away, I have used a very fine tip soldering iron. And do be careful, this is a very hot tool.
Oh, yes.
When you're using synthetic velvets, there is an odour. So health and safety wise, do wear a mask and work in a well ventilated room.
You didn't want to see us in a mask, right? So we're in a well ventilated room. Yeah.
So now what I do is to stop myself burning through both layers, I actually use a pin and I will just start to cut away the edge here.
So you're not cutting into the felt, you're only cutting the top layer.
I'm just cutting away the coloured layer to reveal the black felting underneath. And this is my colour taken away.
And voila. So that is how this quilt of Maggie's evolved. But this is not the only thing that Maggie does. Maggie has a book, it's called Perfect Points. And this is a book on Hawaiian applique.
Correct.
And you're also working on another book. At your applique technique is very intriguing, and I'm looking at this and wondering how Maggie does this. And of course, that could be a whole nother vidcast, but we don't have time for that today. But you can look for Maggie. She will be at the International Quilt Festival in Houston, and she'll have a booth there with her books, and she also has some applique patterns that she has, and you can go stop by and see Maggie there. And she's also planning on doing a teaching tour in the United States, so if you have a group that would like to have Maggie come teach, contact Maggie and she can set that up. And the great thing is that the groups would not have to pay the transatlantic flight, which would be great. Maggie, thank you so much for being with me today and sharing how this quilt happened. It is absolutely beautiful.
Wow, that was fantastic. Thank you so much, Maggie, for sharing that with us. And Maggie will be at the International Quilt Festival in Houston, and you can stop by. She'll have a booth there where she will be demonstrating some of her other things. I hope you have enjoyed this peek across the pond at our friends over in England, and I hope you'll come back next month to see what I have in store for you then. Thanks for being with me.